Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Maverick Mindset Radio Show. I am Adam Williams.
And I'm Ashley Muckenhot.
And this is the radio show for the dreamers and doers. It's for those who are willing to step into the arena.
Some call us the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers.
We don't accept the status quo. We leave the world better than we find it.
We approach each day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. We maintain a rational optimism about the future.
This is the Maverick Mindset Radio Show, brought to you by me, Adam Williams. I wondered if I changed my cadence, if that would throw you off.
I was like,
It's fine. Show 44. I have the intro memorized now.
I have some of it. I have a fear that if I just went at it blind, I'd totally mess it up.
Do you think anybody would even notice, though?
Probably not.
All right.
I feel like I'd start saying your lines.
That's a mindset issue right there, that you think that people would notice if you screwed up, but
yeah,
they're too busy thinking about themselves.
I know.
All right, this is going to be a good show.
Yeah.
Show 44. We were just talking about when we're going to hit show 50. That'll be a big milestone.
Mm-hmm.
We'll throw a party. If anybody wants to be a guest on that show, shoot us a message, and we'll.
We might have a guest, actually. I have to see what our topic
Well,
is.
what if we get an option for a better guest? We'll boot the
I know
first
we got to
one.
boot the first one. Yeah. Your guest spot is not guaranteed.
So what's our topic today?
So our topic today is know your worth, how to set your prices, and knowing your avatar client, which I want you to explain what that is. So
yeah, I mean, I think one of the main reasons that business owners struggle financially is their prices are too low. Yeah. And that's it. Let's end the show and everybody go out and reevaluate your prices. Like that's it. That's all you need to know about today.
Right.
Have a great Wednesday, everybody.
Bye. Do you think it's a self-worth thing or a fear thing that people price too low? You know what? Don't answer that yet. Because we're already
that
off.
That was a good question, though.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Man, all right, so we're teasing it.
Yeah.
We're going to get into the mindset of pricing.
Yeah. Before we do that, because we get off track very quickly.
But nobody knows that.
No, nobody knows. Nobody.
They just think this is
Yeah.
how we planned it.
Yeah.
No, it's just this is how we roll.
This is how we rule. Tell us first where everyone can find us, and
Yes,
then
ma'am.
We'll go through the...
Blowing your minds every Wednesday at 9, streaming live on Facebook, Maverick Mindset Radio. And, of course, there's a lot more information at maverickmindsetradio.com. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on iTunes. Like, subscribe, share the show. This is going to be a good one today.
Yeah.
Because I don't think enough business owners, I said at the top of the show, business owners struggle financially because of their pricing. They don't analyze their pricing often enough. And even like we work with some companies that they've got a policy that their prices increase annually, right? So there's a law firm that we're working with right now on an issue, and they raise their prices every January 1st and January 2nd. We got an email saying, here's our new rates. And I wonder how much thought went into that versus just, well, let's raise them by this dollar amount or this percentage. So
I feel like when somebody does that every year, they have like a percentage that they know they're going to do it every year instead of like a meaningful conversation or thought about it.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Okay, quote of the day.
I hate this quote. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh. I actually liked this quote. Your price is a reflection of your value, not just your time. Charge for the transformation you provide, not the hours you put in. And I like this quote because I feel like right away when people choose pricing, they revert to the hours they put in and the time and think less of the value that they are bringing to the table, the experience that they're bringing.
That there's accuracy to that second part, that you charge for the transformation that you provide. What I don't like is your price is a reflection of your value. It's not your value, and it's not an objective number. Your price should be a reflection of your client or customer or patient's perceived value and what's valuable to them. And that's one of the problems, is it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
Right? There are things that I do in my life that you would never consider because you don't think it's worth it. Like, why would you ever spend the money on something like that?
Right.
And especially when you start making money, people just judge and judge and judge, but that's a different show. But yeah, your price should be a reflection of the perceived value of your customer, what they think they get out of it. And yes, it should be based on the transformation that you provide and not based on how hard you worked or how much it costs you to provide that thing. So maybe I don't hate it as much as I initially thought that I did, but I don't know. There's more to it than that, which is what we're going to spend the next 50 minutes talking about.
We'll get into all that. All right, you want to answer my amazing question that I...
No, I want to save it for later because
Okay.
it's a good question, but I think we need to lay a little bit of a foundation first.
Okay.
Can we do that?
Yes, we can.
Your hair is
So,
it's on point today.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
It's rare for me to notice things like that, but there's like a curliness and a volume to it.
Yeah.
Those of you tuning in on Facebook, you can see that. Those of you on the radio, drive by Fifth and State, stick your face against the
You'll
window and
see
check
my
out,
hair.
check out Ashley. Ashley's got the hair. I got the cashmere hoodie going today.
Just bringing style
It's
to
a good
Maverick
Wednesday.
Mindset Radio.
Yeah, and I don't even know what I paid for this hoodie. All right. So, man, there's so much here. I also want to talk about an experience I had over the weekend,
Oh,
but we'll get there later.
I like the stories.
Yeah. The problem is I share a lot of stories on Facebook too, so a lot of my followers see a lot of this stuff, but some of the stories are so good they have to be shared with
Yep.
with people who don't follow me on Facebook or maybe mute me because of my strong opinions on everything. So here's the thing. I have a 4-year college degree in business management.
Mm-hmm.
And as part of that, I had to take finance classes and marketing classes and management classes and accounting a whole bunch of times. And then in graduate school, I also got my MBA. So I've been educated quite a bit on how businesses price things.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is most of it's wrong. Most of it's really, really bad. And if you don't believe my opinion, believe the facts. We've talked about this on prior shows. 1% of business owners are absolutely crushing it. 4% are doing really, really well. 15% are doing enough to get by, and 80% are struggling. 80% of businesses go out of business in the first 5 years or whatever the number is. So if you don't believe me, look at those numbers. Businesses are struggling. And a huge reason for that is not because their product or service isn't good, because
pricey.
most of us care so much about what we do that the thing we do is really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's because we're undercharging.
Where are people coming up with their like? Where are
I'm
new
glad you
business
asked.
owners coming up with their praises?
So here's what we're taught in business school. And keep in mind that most of business school, most of what you learn with a formal business education is training you to be a cog in a wheel at some massive corporation that they have such size and scale and scope that they can screw things up all the time, and it only has a marginal impact on their share price, which is all they really care
So you're
about.
saying the real learning comes from the experience and
Yeah, the real learning, the real earning, heyo,
Yeah.
that comes from getting this stuff right. So I think one of the things that we're taught, and here's the thing, I have, I think, 4 or 5 different ways, I think it's 4 different ways that businesses can price their goods and services.
okay.
The reality is the best answer is going to combine all 4 of these and weigh it certain ways a little bit more heavily than others. But the way that I grew up learning, and frankly, we even did this in my parents' business, cost plus pricing. If you buy a sweater to have an inventory that you will then sell, you look at how much that sweater costs you, and then you mark it up, right?
Okay. Yes.
So if it costs you $20, maybe you sell it for 30, maybe you sell it for 40.
So you make a profit.
And there's, well, theoretically, but you don't factor in all the other expenses that you have. And that's one of the
Yeah,
problems
that's it.
here is like you have your inventory costs and then you mark it up a percentage, right? If you make stuff, you factor in your labor and your material costs of making that thing, and then you add a little bit. The problem is most businesses don't add enough. So this is where I think a lot of businesses get it wrong, because they look at benchmarks and they say, well, the industry standard for a retail brick and mortar business is 40% gross margins on the products that you sell. Okay, fine. I don't really want to be the industry average.
Yeah.
I want to be Gucci. I want to be Louis Vuitton. I want to be Kate Spade. I want to be one of these products there that it doesn't matter what it costs to make the thing.
You know it's a good. You know people are going to buy it because it's a good product.
Well, the right people are. Not everybody's going to. How many Yves Saint Laurent purses do you own?
I don't. my first really nice purse came from Jackie, so I was very happy.
It's 'cause
She knew.
She up-leveled. Yeah.
Yes, she did.
Yeah. But I think that's the point is, and we did. I remember the goal in my parents' business was 40 points. They said, right? They didn't want to say percentage because that made it obvious, but they want to make 40 points on things, and that was some industry terminology. So if you sold a thing for $100, you would hope that your cost was 60 and you were making 40 points. You were making 40% on that sale. There were some items that were lower than that. There were some items that were higher than that. And like I said, I think the problem is most businesses don't add enough and they don't consider what value they may actually be adding, which ties us into the second way that businesses price things, which is competition-based prices.
Ooh, yes.
So you look at what you look at what your competition is doing and saying, I'm going to charge a little bit less than that or a little bit more than that.
You think it's bad to charge less?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's never better to charge less than your competitors unless you've got a real advantage in your pricing, right? There is no advantage to being the second cheapest option in a market.
I think people get that so wrong because they're like, no, everyone's going to go to me because my prices are lower.
Well, this is going to go back to your self-worth and your fear issues. But yeah, the reality is most of your customers really aren't shopping that much on price. Some percentage of them are, and chances are they're not going to be the best customers for you, depending on your business. But you can't just look at what your competitors sell for and make up your price because it doesn't factor in the unique experience that customers have shopping with you or working with you. It doesn't factor in what your costs are. It doesn't factor in what type of customers you work with. And the reality is a few cents here or there on the price of something isn't really going to make that big of a difference. But what we're taught in business school is, pharmaceuticals and if there's comparable pills or medicine, there's a huge impact on share price if we can sell this for a half of a penny less than our competitor. But that's not how the real world works. That's not how it works for most of us. This is a huge pet peeve of mine, and there's absolutely no reason for it. If I go into a restaurant, let's pick a sandwich shop, right? Is there any reason why some sandwich should be $5 and another one should be $5.25? No. Charge me $5.50 and I'm not even going to notice, right?
Yeah.
Like these itty bitty changes in pricing. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
What's that there? I always see people is this a thing like $9.99 instead of like the 10, and you're like, oh, it's a deal. It's a deal because and people are like, no, that's strategic. Like we do that on purpose because is that a thing?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. I feel like Walmart does that a lot.
Yeah,
drop there.
And Walmart and Target, I think, do it that if it ends in a certain number, you know that it's discounted as far as it's going to be. Like if it's 97 cents versus 99, you know that it's on sale and it's going to be cheaper. Yeah, and there's a phrase for that I actually had in my notes. Charm pricing is what that's called. So yeah, $9.99 sounds better than $10. But actually, I think you're getting me off script here. But but I think it really depends on the business, right? There are some people that would rather pay $5,000 than $4,995.
Yeah.
Right. So this is true for everything in business. You got to test it and see what matters to your customers. So here's a really interesting thing on the competition-based pricing. It tends to be a race to the bottom. If you're not focusing on differentiating your business on anything other than price, you have to continuously lower your price. And so long as someone out there has a lower price than you, you're going to lose.
You're going to keep lowering to match.
So this was another interesting thing in my parents' business. I'm thinking in 2007 or 8, I was finishing up law school, which meant I was playing a lot of video games. And Jackie had a job. So I had a sugar mama. I was still in school. And I spent...
She's listening. I know she's going to comment on that.
She knows this story. She's still my sugar mama. I spent actually, when I worked at KPMG, there were 4 of us in our department. 3 of us made less than our wives.
Oh, jeez.
So we called it the Married Up Club.
Yeah.
Like we all had these smoking hot wives that made more money than us. Like we were living the dream, bro. So we're talking 2007, 2008, and I wanted to buy a flat screen TV. Okay. So I researched it because I used to be a researcher.
Yeah.
That's one of the problems with the internet is people spend too much time on this stuff. And I went looking for all these features and video quality and brand names and all this stuff that now in hindsight, I actually still own this television, but none of it matters anymore.
Does it still work?
Yeah, you know, actually the funny conclusion to this story is I gave that TV to my parents. But here's where it gets really interesting. It was a 50-inch Panasonic plasma TV. Okay. And I'll never forget the day that we set it up. We calibrated the brightness and the color, and we hooked up the Xbox, and we're just like, oh my God, like the closer you get, the better it looks. And we're playing video games like 6 inches away. I bought that TV at Costco.
Okay.
In fact, I drove to Costco in my Subaru Impreza, and I bought the TV, and I wheeled it out of the front of the store and said, this doesn't fit in this car.
I was going to say.
And I had to have a guy in a van come and pick me up and drive my TV home for me. But it was a ceremony, right? It was my first big like adult purchase. And all my my adult purchase, and all my roommates were waiting at home for me to bring this thing home so we could play video games. So here's the irony, though. My parents owned a business that sold televisions, including 50-inch Panasonic plasma TVs.
Why'd you go somewhere else?
Because it was cheaper to buy it from Costco than from my parents' supplier.
Oh my God.
Right? Literally, the inventory that my parents would buy for this store, it would be cheaper for them to buy it from Costco and put it in inventory in their store. Yeah.
Wow.
Now, there's probably a couple reasons for that. One is Costco does a huge volume, so they probably get discounts on from Panasonic or whoever. But the other part of it is, have you know, when you walk into Sam's Club or Costco or even Best Buy, I fell for it at Best Buy the other day.
No.
I'm in the front of the store and I look in the back and I see this glowing, bright, hummingbird sipping out of a flower, and I'm like, what is that TV? And I walk back there and I'm like, well, now I need a 100-inch TV in our living room.
Oh, no.
So, but you walk in and it's that huge, impressive display, right? So that it's intentionally designed. We're getting into some retail stuff now. It's intentionally designed to draw you into the store.
Yes.
I walked all the way to the back of Best Buy to look at that TV.
And that's on purpose.
And
right?
on my walk back, guess what I bought? A whole bunch of crap that I had no intention of buying, right?
Yep.
So part of it is they get it cheaper, but the other part of it is Costco can sell televisions at a loss and then make the money up on other stuff.
Because they're more of that corporate.
Well, they can afford it.
Yeah.
Right. So hey, we're running a special on TVs. Come in and buy a TV. Well, what do you buy when you buy a TV? DVD player, wires, speakers, DVDs, 47 pounds of popcorn. So they can take a little bit of a hit on the TV. Plus, I got the membership that generates a little bit of revenue for them. So that's the problem with pricing based on your competition is you don't know what business decisions that they're making. And by the way, 80% of business owners are struggling. So why would I match their pricing if they're struggling? Well, it's because I don't know any better, and that's what we're fixing today.
So this information that all this with experience and the education and all that, someone just starting, where should they be, besides listening to the show, who should they be asking? How should they be figuring out?
We're going to get there. I'm going to tell you how to set some prices.
Okay.
But spoiler alert, it's going to involve some testing, right? And it's going to involve some experimentation, which has been our phrase recently. So another example of pricing, and this one is really interesting, but again, it combines some of these other things, is demand-based pricing.
Explain that.
When there's more demand for a thing, you can charge more.
Go up.
Do you ever get an Uber and there's surge pricing?
No.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't.
No.
But if you're leaving, even in Erie, the first time I saw this, I was leaving Beer on the Bay, and there's a few hundred really drunk people at a beer tasting event, and none of us should have been driving. So I went to get an Uber, and it was surge pricing of like 3 times the normal rate because there's massive demand.
Oh, you know where I saw this recently? Didn't see it myself, but stories of it. Snowmageddon. Because people couldn't get out and driving, so the Uber drivers knew.
Exactly. Yeah. And you're going to have politicians complain that that's price gouging, but it's like, hey, that's what the market's going to bear. And so Uber does it, Ticketmaster does it, airlines do it. There's certain days where it's best to buy your tickets, or if you're a last minute flyer, it may cost you a whole bunch more because they know if you're that desperate, you really got to get to this place and you're going to pay for it. Or they're going to price low to try and fill more seats to get more.
Is that why there's always such, like, one weekend it's like hundreds of dollars cheaper, and the next it's like, what the heck happened from this weekend to that?
Hotels do the same thing.
Okay.
The same hotel room in the same hotel in the same city will be a different price every day of the week.
Wow.
And if Taylor Swift is in town, well, boy, you better up your credit card limit, right? So I think that's kind of cool. It's complex,
I really
right?
love your Taylor Swift references lately. You keep bringing this to the show.
Do I?
Is Penny making you listen to a lot of that?
I listened to Taylor Swift this morning.
Okay. I believe last week you were also.
Actually, it happened this morning. We're all getting up. We're getting ready. Penny was the first one down in the kitchen, so she got her breakfast ready, and I was making coffee. And then I was walking out of the room, and I realized she's sitting at the kitchen island eating her breakfast, and I was like, oh, she's going to be in there all alone, and she's got her uniform on, and she's so cute. So I walked out of the room, and I said, Alexa, play Taylor Swift. And I hope I just ticked off a whole bunch of people's devices when I said that. Yeah. So Alexa, play Taylor Swift, right? So the song comes on, and I walked out of the room, and then the next thing I heard was Alexa, volume 10, and I'm like, oh my god! So we were the whole house was jamming to T Swift this morning. So yeah, that's demand based pricing. It's a cool concept. I as a capitalist, I think it's really cool, right? Yeah. If you've got so many people that want your thing, you should be able to charge a little bit more for that, because that's how it works. That's business. That's capitalism. It's pretty complex too, because you got to get it right.
Yeah.
Is it you eventually you may get to the point where you've got so much inelasticity of demand, it's called, that you can't charge more, and you won't be able to sell the thing. And it does really require you to know your numbers, right? Also
such a
really,
big thing lately. I feel like numbers are just
I can't say it enough, because again, it's the whole reason you're not making money is because you don't know how much money you're not making.
Yeah.
Ooh, that was
I
good.
like that.
That was good. That was pretty
we got to
good.
remember that one.
Yeah. Okay, and then we can talk about, bundle pricing, where, hey, if you buy the shirt, it's this price, but if you buy the shirt with the tie, it's a little bit lower. Or there's some insurance company that talks about bundling all the time.
Oh, what one is? Never mind. We don't need to give
matter.
a shout
They're not
out.
sponsoring us. They're forgettable. And volume discounts or anchoring, right? So a lot of people in coaching or professional services will quote 3 prices to someone.
Why?
Well, there's lots of reasons. So let's say you want to hire me to mow your lawn, okay? Landscapers out there, you should be listening to this. I'm going to say, all right, so one option that we have, and you can present this in either top to bottom or bottom to top, right?
Okay.
But I would go top to bottom.
Okay.
And I would say, well, one option is we'll come out to your house. We'll bring our nicest truck and trailer out. It's not the one that's rusted out. Looks really nice. Just bought a brand new truck, new equipment. It's our 3 best guys that are on the crew. It's a non-smoking crew, and they'll come out and they will mow and trim and edge and prune your trees and do some spring cleaning and pick up all the clippings and pet your dog. That's $1,000. Okay. Now, our next option is we send out one of our standard crews in the standard truck, and they'll come out and they'll mow and edge and trim, and that's $399. Or I can send Charlie out with the push mower.
Charlie.
And it's $48. No offense to the Charlies out there. So, a couple things, right? Most people are going to go with the middle option if you've done this properly,
yes.
Right? Because the jump from the first thing to the second thing maybe isn't as great as I just laid it out to be, and few people want the cheapest option. Right. Sometimes they do, but then you've got that premium option that's going to be a lot more. It's more than double the price, but if someone pays it, oh boy, this is pretty exciting, right? So, and I can also look at it and say, well, I got a deal because I don't even remember the numbers I said. I got the I got the $399 option, and there was a $1,000 option, but I was responsible and I went with the $399.
I didn't need my dog to be pet.
Yeah, well, and then there's some of us out there that are like, oh, there's a premium option, I need that.
Yeah.
And shame on you for not presenting it to me.
You would do the premium
Sometimes in certain things, and then there's other things where I don't. I've actually been giving this a lot of thought because I've been thinking a lot about why wealthy people spend money on the things that they spend money on, right? So you may have the same person that flies private for, I don't know, $5,000 an hour and then gets a $10 haircut.
Yeah, that's weird.
What's weird about it?
There you go.
I know. There you go.
I know. That's I'm like, that's weird. I don't get that.
That's judgy,
yeah,
right?
I am judgy.
Meanwhile, how much do you spend on A haircut. What's a lot?
I don't, like on a hair, all of it?
Yeah.
Well, if I'm going to, it's my whole thing. It's like, close,
Say the number.
it's like 180.
That's it?
Yeah. For me, that's a lot.
Sure.
Yeah.
But and for some people out there are, and then there are other people who are going, oh, I get $500 haircuts. 180 isn't that bad, right?
Yeah.
But that's the whole point. Is everybody wants to form judgments and say that, well, my way and my opinion are right, and your way. What did you say? It's weird. Did you say weird? Was that your word?
Thought it was such
But that's the point. You just did what everybody
Yeah.
does in that situation, right? This is the problem with pricing, is you are using your own values in setting your pricing and not your customers' values, which is why I hated your quote of the day. The energy drink is kicking in. Let's get going on this.
Now
All
it's
right.
done.
Here's the thing. Who in their right mind? Actually, I told this.
I've only had one cup of coffee.
Do you remember? All right. So my 40th birthday, we went to New York City.
Yes,
Okay?
and you got sick. Isn't that the time?
That's not the point of the story.
It's what I remember.
I also bought my Rolex as my
Yes.
40th birthday gift,
Yes.
right? And we booked a room in a Marriott hotel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get sued. They screwed up our reservation. So Penny and I were both sick in bed with the flu.
Yep.
And they basically kicked us out and said, we can't extend your stay.
Oh no.
So we're right on Central Park, and I said, all right, let's turn this adversity into an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Let's book a room at the Plaza Hotel. So I'm laying there, sick, like just feeling like garbage, watching Food Network with Penny, and I get on my phone, and I book a room at the Plaza Hotel, and it was substantially more expensive than the room at the Marriott. But they had one available. We got the room with the butler.
Oh, like in Home Alone. Wasn't
Just
that?
like Home
Yes.
Alone. Okay. There was a separate living quarters where they had a Christmas tree set
Aw.
up. And you're right on Central Park, and it's the Plaza, and it's New York City at Christmas time, right? This was unbelievable. And I think the cost of that room was $3,000 for that night.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Here
Yeah.
you go judging again.
I can't help it.
That same hotel, that same night, in the same city, a mere few floors above our room, there was another room for $75,000 for one night. For one night.
Insane. I know that's judgy. Insane.
It's not insane, because to someone out there, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And you know what? The Plaza is profitable. The Plaza is a sustainable business. The Plaza is not struggling to pay its bills because it doesn't judge its customers.
Yeah.
So stop substituting. I'm talking to you directly, Ashley, but also everybody that's listening. Stop substituting your judgment over how people spend money on things, because it's how they spend money on things.
Yeah.
To me, spending $3,000 on a single night in a hotel room made sense. Mm-hmm. There are plenty of people that go, that's crazy.
Right.
And then that same hotel, there is someone to whom it makes sense to spend $75,000 on the hotel room, right? And rather than judging it, and rather than saying that's crazy or that's foolish or that's a waste of money, you know what the Plaza does?
Take the 75.
Swipe your credit card. Exactly. And that's such a huge problem with pricing.
Yeah.
Is you asked earlier, is this a self-worth thing or is this a fear thing? It's a little bit of both, plus it's using your own judgment over how people spend money. Mm-hmm. There are things that people would hire me to do for them that I would never hire someone to do for myself, right? There were certain people that I would basically say, hey, if you need an answer to this question, I'm just going to go on Google and do fine,
Right.
do it. I don't want to deal with it, right? And it's not, it could be a value thing. It could be a sanity thing. It could be they just don't want to waste the time, but they're deciding that they're better off paying me to find an answer for them than finding it on their own. Well, I can either judge that and be broke, or I can accept it and take their money and be happy and allow them to be happy. So don't make that judgment. And this is going to be the real paradigm shift on that I think people should go through on this show is test a premium offer in your business. Take a shot at it.
Put it out there.
Yeah. So there's two ways to experiment with this. One is just increase your prices overall, right?
Right.
In your business, with whatever you do, and I'm sure there's some businesses out there where there's limitations, right? If you get paid by insurance or Medicare or I don't know, whatever. If you think there are limits to the prices that you can charge, right? Chiropractors out there, some of them take insurance, some of them are private pay. and I'm sure you're all going to have self-limiting beliefs around this, but throw them out the window for a second. What do you think would happen if you went and doubled your prices? If you're a chiropractor and you doubled your prices, what do you think would happen? Would half of your clients leave? Okay, so now you're making the same amount of money with half as much work. That might be a worthwhile experiment. Or maybe you don't raise the prices on all your clients. Maybe it's some of them, or the ones that need more service, or just the new ones that are coming in.
Right.
And you lock the old customers or patients or clients into the old pricing. But
So you're not really losing money.
well, you could
Yeah.
push it too far. There is some inelasticity to it. There is some level where you're going to lose enough people where it's not worth it. But again, you're going to be happier because every single client is making you more money.
Right.
You're going to do a better job for them, as particularly in the service industry, and you're going to have to work less because you're going to have fewer customers.
Yeah.
So it's an experiment. Here's the other experiment, because I know that's going to scare a whole bunch of people. Test a premium offer. So a dentist, right? And again, I think I would imagine that most dentists are getting paid through insurance reimbursements, right? So let's go through the typical dentist office experience.
Mm-hmm.
You make an appointment, you get a couple text message reminders, you drive to the appointment, you sit in a waiting room
Yep.
with probably other people.
Mm-hmm.
There's some outdated magazines.
And coffee.
Is it good coffee?
No, it's outdated also.
Outdated coffee. Okay.
It's never good.
Someone comes out and calls your name with a clipboard, and they
Yes.
walk you back into a room. And does that room have a door on it?
Yes.
Really?
No.
No. It's like a curtain at best.
Oh, that's a door.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. So good. Your dentist is doing something right.
Yeah.
So you walk into a room and they close the curtain, maybe, and someone who you don't know asks you to lay back in a really like sterile utilitarian chair,
Mm-hmm.
and they pry your mouth open and they pick at things and they scrub your teeth
I
and
hate
it hurts.
the
I
dentist.
hope
I'm
people.
terrified of
Joel
the
is
dentist.
wincing, and I hope
Gosh.
right. It's not a pleasant experience.
No.
And then a dentist comes in and they look at your teeth and they call out all the problems. The upper incisor we got to keep an eye on. Have you been he hasn't been flossing, everybody, right? And the curtain's there and everybody can hear this. And then after that experience is over, you walk back out to the front desk and they got to make sure they get your payment, and they got to make sure they have your
Schedule you.
insurance on file, and they schedule you for the next one, and they hand you a sugar-free lollipop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go get my dental license. And my patients, I'm going to send a driver to pick them up. And I'm going to walk them, I'm going to drive them to my office, and they're going to have their own waiting room where we'll have a TV where they can pick some channels,
Good
or they can
coffee.
listen to relaxing music. I'm going to have a barista
Yeah, thank you.
that can make whatever type of coffee or tea that they want.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to allow them to adjust the lighting in the waiting room. And if they choose, they can go into a different room where we've got a massage chair. Either the chair that you lay on with your face through the hole and there's an actual massage therapist,
Yep.
or maybe just one of those really nice massage chairs where you put a couple quarters in typically, but this one will be free, right? If you've ever used the massage chairs at the trampoline parks, it's one of those.
Oh, yes,
Those things,
yes.
those are really
Yes.
good. Yeah. All right, so we got the massage chair. And then while you're sitting there getting your massage, listening to your spa music, I'm going to send in my patient concierge, and she's going to introduce herself, and she's going to tell me a little bit about how long she's worked here and what she enjoys about this job. And then she's going to explain to me what's going to happen. Okay, first you're going to meet with, I don't even know, the dental assistant, right? And that person's just going to review some of your charts, and they're going to clean your teeth. Now, we have 3 different options for toothpaste, right? I hope that someone's tuning in the middle of this story, like what is going on in this show.
Why?
So you have 3 different options for toothpaste, and then we're going to take you into a room, and it's not going to be the typical dentist chair. It's going to be a little bit nicer. It's going to be suede or Alcantara. There will be a heating option on there if you want to heat your lower back, because I'm sure it's sore. You've had a rough day. And we're going to go through that process, and the whole experience is going to be better. And then when it's done, rather than walking you back out through the lobby and making your credit card and giving you the sugar-free lollipop, we're going to escort you out the back door to the car that's waiting and warmed up to drive you home. And don't worry about paying us, because we already have your credit card on file. And you just let us know when you want to schedule the next appointment, but we recommend usually in 3 months. If we don't hear from you in 30 days, we'll check in and schedule the date. Does that sound like a better experience?
Yes, it does.
Do you think everyone would pay for that?
No.
Do you think someone would?
Yes.
Absolutely. I would pay for a driver to take me to the dentist.
Yeah.
I would pay that on my own, but if it was included in the service, that makes my life even
Yes.
easier. So think about that in your business of what's the premium offer? What's the thing that you can do that someone's going to hear it and go, that's crazy. That's crazy. Why would anyone do that? Well, I don't know. They've got their reasons, but I'm certainly going to try it, right? Imagine what that would be like if more businesses took a shot at that. Pick another
Yeah.
business. Let's do another one of these. Think of another business.
Oh gosh.
Realtors. They're always
Really?
realtors.
Realtors? Okay.
It was either going to be realtors or insurance people, but I'm going to go with
Right.
realtors, right?
Both are boring, but okay.
Real estate agents, their preference is to get the listings,
Okay.
right? Because all they got to do is come in and take pictures. And right now, especially in the current market, they take a few pictures. Oh my God, there's a house that just got listed in Erie for $900,000, which for those of you not in Erie is a lot of money. The beds aren't made. There's wet towels on the floor in the bathroom, but that's how easy it is to sell houses, right?
Wait,
right
are
now,
you
right?
this real?
Yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you the listing.
Oh my gosh.
It's a cool house, but like,
Yeah.
this is how little effort you can put into listing
Okay.
it. And getting the listing is nice because you get your 3% commission, right? Because it's going to be a typical 6% commission, and you get 3 as the seller's agent. But that's it. Then what happens is people book showings through an app, and there's a keypad on the door, and the buying agents take their clients through, and eventually you get an offer.
Mm-hmm.
What they don't like doing is being buying agents. It's a lot more work.
What's a buying agent?
If you're going to go and buy a house, how many houses are you going to go and look at before you buy one? Some people it might be one, but more. I bet if we Googled it, we'd find the industry
Right.
average. It's more likely that you may have to do 10 or 15 showings. You may have to do 30 showings until someone makes the biggest financial decision of their life and finds what they actually want.
Right.
That's a lot more work. Now, in Pennsylvania especially, the way that it typically works is when the house gets sold, the buying agent gets their split out of the purchase price. The selling agent gets their split out of the purchase price. If you buy a home, you generally don't pay your realtor out of pocket. It comes out of the seller's side. It's a little bit different in other places. I would be willing to pay a premium price if my realtor didn't drive me around in her Kia, but instead hired a professional. Let's get a party bus. And we've got 7 showings booked for the day. I'm having lunch delivered at one of them because we're going to need a break. And when I get on the bus, there's coffee waiting for me. And if I'm taking my kids, you've brought someone to watch my kids because they can be a huge distraction when you're touring a house, right? That is such a better experience
Yeah.
that no real estate agents offer because they do what everybody else does.
I feel like we might see that.
They do as
happen
many,
somewhere.
yeah, probably not in Erie,
Not
but,
in Erie.
but they do as many showings as they need to close the house and get their commission check, and they charge the same price that everybody else does. I would even consider doing that if it's in a healthy enough market and so the purchase prices are higher and your commission's based on a percentage. I would consider including some of these to differentiate yourself, and then we can figure out what to do with it later. But you're going to have customers for life.
Yep.
Imagine telling your home buying, oh, I bought my first house. Oh yeah, tell me about that. Well, my realtor picked me up in a limo, and we went and toured all these places. In fact, when we were touring them, she brought a contractor to show me some of the problems or tell me about what it would cost to do some of the renovations I want to do. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yes.
How many houses did you look at when you bought your house?
There were 5.
5.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was that experience like?
It's tiring.
Did you take your kids?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
they're old enough, right?
Yeah.
But,
no.
but Penny's at the age where we usually have to take her places when we're doing things. So imagine how much better the experience would be. Is you gotta look up the address and put it into your GPS, and you're going to get lost, and you're driving down the street. You got to turn down your radio so you can see better, right? And you're looking at the house numbers on the mailbox, and then eventually you find it, and it's like, do I park in the driveway? Do I park on the street? Am I going to be blocking somebody in? Which garage door do I park in front of?
Mm-hmm.
Versus, what if the real estate agent just took care of that for you?
Yeah.
Right? So that's my...
You know how I am about parking. That was a thing. And
know,
I'm like, oh my gosh.
That one hit home for you. Yes, and I got the pun in there. Thank you very much. But I think that's what I would encourage people is think about that premium experience, that premium price point. And again, people may say no to it, but somebody may say yes, or that you may get enough feedback on it and make it the type of thing that people go, that's crazy. Okay. Since we're talking about fear, now I get to tell my story from last weekend.
Okay.
I've been talking a lot on this show.
Yeah. It's all right.
Is it okay?
Sounds like a lot of energy.
as I take
You have an enthusiasm unknown to mankind that
take a
kicked
sip
in
of
about
my
15 minutes ago.
Tropic Lightning by First Form. All right, so a segment that I just made up, Great Moments in Parenting.
Okay. Oh,
So-
I like that.
Thank you. So as most people know, I wrote the book, Everything Your Kids Wish You Knew About Owning a Business. And I also have pretty strong opinions about taking entrepreneurship advice from people that don't have kids if you have kids, right? There's a whole additional dynamic there that coaches don't understand if it's important to you to actually be present in your children's lives, right? So we're always looking for lessons, examples, things like that. So Royce, I got two good ones, but Royce wanted to go to this trading card show over the weekend. I have no interest in it.
Yeah.
He's so into sports. I'm
Yes.
not. Like, I'll go to games with him. We went to a Dolphins-Browns game at the end of the year. Had a blast, right? But it just in general, I want him to pursue his interests for his reasons, right? Without judgment, which we should do a show on judgment. But just like let him explore this stuff, right? Maybe this is the show about judgment.
Yep.
But let's go try some stuff, right? And there's gonna be stupid things that you want to do that I'm gonna support you in, because I want you to be doing things that you want to do for your reasons.
Right.
I feel like, again, as parents, we tend to dictate to our kids what they should want and why they should want it, and we don't let them think for themselves. So, like, fine, I'll go to this thing. And it just so happened that I also had to take Penny, which is a whole other fun dynamic to introduce into this stuff. So we go to this trading card show, and observation number one is, and this was organized by a local card shop, right? So that's a shop that's been around since I was a kid, and there's like 60 vendor tables set up. Observation number one is these folks are so friendly. It was so cool.
Was that near you?
Yeah, and there's two more coming. They do it every 2 months apparently, and I'm going back because I'm sold on how cool this was. Everybody's so nice, so friendly, and like there's people in there that have these like custom designed briefcases that they carry their expensive cards in, and they're all buying and selling and wheeling and dealing, and these guys will open up their cases and display their goods. Royce carries his cards in a Ziploc bag, right? But they're just so cool, right? And they'll flip through what he has. So we walk in and he just starts buying. Right, the Dolphins stuff, the Michigan stuff, those are his teams. So he spends a little bit of money, and we're walking around, and then he sees a J.J. McCarthy card. J.J. McCarthy was the quarterback at Michigan last year when they won the national championship.
Okay.
There was a ton of publicity for this kid. He's in the NFL now. I think he's a backup for the Vikings or something, but he's in the NFL now. But just by all accounts, like a really good kid. And my favorite story about him is before every game he would meditate. He would sit under the goalpost and he'd cross his legs and he'd close his eyes. But so somebody asked him, why do you do that? And 22-year-old kid, right? Well, I Googled how to beat depression and they said that meditation helps, so I started meditating.
Right.
So literally the only person in human history to beat depression by Googling, right? So by the national championship, he's sitting the goalpost meditating and there's 15 cameras around him, right? So we see this card. It's a 1-of-1 autographed J.J. McCarthy card, and it's $125.
Oh.
And at this point,
I'm not judging. Not judging.
You just did.
No,
but whatever. So at this point, Royce he didn't have the money, right? He didn't even walk in with that much, and he had I think he had $20 or $30 left in his wallet at this point, but he's got a stack of cards there. So he's like, I really want that card. I really want that card. Will you lend me the money? Nope. I said, you got to make it. If you want it, you got to make it happen. So let's go. You got your cards. I go to every table and say, are you buying? And if they say yes, hand them your cards. They flip through, right? So most of these guys are buying, right? Because they're wheeling and dealing. So he went up to a table. Are you buying? Yep. Guy flips through his cards, and this was the best part. And he got these guys would go, hey man, thanks a lot for showing me these. You know, none of these are really of interest for what I'm looking for, but I really appreciate it.
Nice.
Right? That is so nice. What a nice way to get rejected.
Right.
6 tables in a row that happened.
Hey.
6 tables in a
happen.
row. Yeah, but if you're 14, you don't know that.
I know. But he knows that.
So he gets through 6 tables, and he's like, Dad, this is so discouraging. And these guys keep all saying the same thing. They keep saying, thanks so much for bringing this stuff over, but this isn't really what I'm looking for. So I said, Royce, great moments in parenting. In our business, to sign up one client, you know how many people we have to talk to? And he said, no. I said, 10. Meaning for every one yes, we get 9 no's. And I said, and we actually just improved it. It used to be we had to talk to 11 people to get one yes. And the light bulb went off. And he goes, oh, so if I talk to 22 people, I'll make 2 sales. I said, well, I don't know if your numbers are going to be the same. I don't know if you know your numbers. I know my numbers. But keep going, right?
Yeah.
So what I didn't say was go until you sell something. I said, why don't you just try one more? Mm-hmm. And he went up to table number 7. You buying? Yep. Flip through the cards. Hey, man, thanks a lot for showing me these. This isn't really what I'm looking for. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. Came back over, dejected. I'm like, I don't know, man. Royce, why don't you try one more? And so you buying? Yep. Guys flip through the cards. And as he's flipping through, he's making a pile. And I'm like, here we go.
Oh, he's going to buy.
Here we go.
Aw.
So he picks out 3 cards and he goes, I'll give you $10 for these. And Royce is like, woof. Like, he's got $20 in his wallet. He needs $125 for the thing that he wants. And this guy's offering 10 for 3 cards. So he looks at me and I was like, it's your call. So he takes it, right? So then now we're building some momentum, right?
Okay.
So he goes to the next table and the next table and the next table. He got up to $67 and he still had a good stack of cards left. But we're running out of places to go.
Yeah.
So he's like, what? I don't even know what to do. I really want that card. I think it's really cool. I said, all right, here's what you do. We're going to go up to the guy with the card and I want you to pour it on. Say, hey man, I really want this JJ McCarthy card. I'm a huge Michigan fan. My dad and I went to the national championship. I have $67 and this stack of cards. What will it take for me to leave with that card? So he walks up and he runs the play.
He runs the play.
And I'm looking at the guy and the guy's looking at me and he's like, all right, I'll take a look at what you have. So he starts making a pile and he's like, yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're going to get there. And then he goes through again. And then there's this really cool app that you can take a picture of trading cards and it'll look it up and tell you the value. So the guy's doing that and he finds another one and he goes, man, I have like 5 of these, but I guess if we're trying to make this happen, I can throw it in. So he goes, all right, I'll take these $67 plus these cards. And I don't know, do you have another $20? And Royce is like, I have $67. That's all I have. And he goes, what about $10? Royce is like, I have $67. And the guy looks at me and he goes, maybe your dad will cover the $10. And I said, absolutely not. And the guy's like, oh, like we're playing the game.
Yeah.
So he looks at Royce and Royce is like, he's studying the card, right? He's got it in his hands, right? And the guy sees this and he goes, all right, flips through the cards again. And he goes, all right, I'll take these cards and $65 and it's yours, right? And we close the deal. Aww. And Royce reached out and shook the guy's hand, right? But what a great lesson in rejection and working through, like, I believe the fundamental essence of entrepreneurship is doing what you need to do to get the things that you want, doing what you need to do to make the money to get the things that you want. And he saw it all. Negotiation, playing with emotional heartstrings, collecting the cash, working the deals, going through the rejection, and he got the thing that he wanted. And now he has this card, that $125 football card that, you know, maybe the guy breaks his leg next week and it's worth nothing, right?
But it had value to him.
But he wanted the thing. Yep.
Yeah.
And it cost me $0 for him to learn that lesson, which was my favorite part of it, right? I could have spotted him the $10. Because the other thing I do with my kids is if they forget their wallet and I need to lend them money, I charge them 10%. Yeah. So if I lend you $10 and we get home, you're paying me 11, because that's how debt works, right? Mm-hmm. They don't seem to be learning that lesson either. Another good lesson was, so we did, all right, so I don't completely deprive my kids, right? I got to tell this other story. So we had a deal with Royce that if he got straight A's, we'd buy him a cell phone.
Yes.
He's 14, he's got events and stuff going on. Everybody else in the class has one, but we're not just going to give it to him. So he did it. He got straight A's. So this is why I was at Best Buy. So we got him the phone, and now Penny is mad.
Oh, no. She wants a phone?
Oh, she's mad?
So oh, no.
It is so unfair that Royce has a phone and she doesn't have a phone. And by the way, she got straight A's too in first grade, right? So we're trying to explain that it's like, yeah, it's an age thing, and 8th grade's a little bit harder than first grade. And she has like fake phones, or if I buy a phone case, she'll take there's like always like an insert in a phone case that looks like a phone, and she'll take that and play with it. And she got something on Temu, whatever it's called, that's like a fake phone, right? So I'm again, everything your kids wish you knew about owning a business. My book available on Amazon. I'm telling Penny, I'm like, Penny, save up your money and buy a phone. Like, I don't like telling my kids no over whether they want something. What I'll tell them is, yes, now you got to find a way to make it happen, right? I want a phone. I said, well, spend your money. And she, oh my God, I almost cried. We're in the kitchen last night. She's like, Dad, I'm trying to save my money, but there's just so much cool stuff out there.
And so hard.
So I said, Penny, I get it. I get it. There's so much cool stuff out there. I said, do you want to know what I do in those situations? And she said, what? I said, I make more money. She goes, okay. All right, I'm gonna figure out how to make more money. I don't know where that lesson's gonna end up, but I think it's gonna be a good one.
She's gonna start doing a whole bunch of things.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's crazy now. Yeah. She's like, Dad, if I get you a water, will you give me $5? No, I don't. No, all right,
just give me the water.
She's still learning. Yeah, I'm not even thirsty. But all right, so let's talk about avatar clients because we got a few minutes left, and we did tease this at the beginning. So I don't even know where the phrase comes from, but if you've seen the movie Avatar, it sort of kind of makes sense. But this is your ideal client. This is your ideal customer. This is who you want to serve. And I think if you ask, again, most business owners, most of who are broke, hey, who does your business work with? Who's your client or your customer or your patient? What do they say?
Everyone.
Or everyone who can afford to pay me.
Yeah.
That's it. That's their criteria. I believe that the more specific you can get on defining who your ideal client is, the easier it is to grow a business. And I think we talked about this on a show, I think when we were talking about a bakery. So
yes,
understand that you don't sell to everyone. Let's get specific.
Yes.
Is it a man or a woman? How old are they? And don't tell me 25 to 45. Pick an age. Give them a name. Tell me where they work. Like, we can run through this whole exercise of my ideal client is a 45-year-old man who owns a business that does $1.5 million in revenue. He makes $350,000 of profit on that. He drives a large SUV. He's got kids that are in activities, and his wife works part-time at a job that she really loves, but it doesn't bring in a whole lot of money, and her name is Shirley. And they live in a subdivision, and they've got other neighbors in the subdivision, some of whom are self-employed, but some of them have really good jobs. And in a typical week, he's taken his kids to school. They have dinner out twice. One night they go to Applebee's because that's what the kids like, and another night they go to the country club that's close to their neighborhood. They go to church 30% of the time, right? So maybe one weekend a month they make it to church, and he reads a lot of nonfiction books. Like, that's how so after the kids go to bed, he'll spend some time with the kids, put the kids to bed, and then he goes and reads nonfiction, right? If I decide that that's my customer, it is so much easier to find that customer.
Yeah.
Rather than I help everyone and my billboard says so, I can get in front of him and get inside his head through the church, through the country club, through the kids' activities. I can speak to him directly.
Yeah.
If he's a member of BNI or a networking group or the Chamber of Commerce, I know that he's there, and
then there's probably other people like him.
Well, so that's the cool part is you pick that avatar client, and then you decide who you're willing to accept outside of that, right? If I got all those criteria and the same income and the same need, but the person, I don't know, they drive a Ford instead of a Chevy, okay, fine. They're 39 instead of 45, fine. I don't know, they don't have kids. I don't know. Maybe I'm not able in my business to help people that don't have kids. But it really depends on your business. But this is where the fear comes in, is people think, well, if I get too narrow with this, if I niche this down too much, there's not going to be enough customers out there. And I would challenge you on that, because I don't believe it's true. Yeah. I think the more specific you can get, the more successful your business can be, the easier it is to make money. And maybe you design a second or a third avatar as well. We're running out of time. The other thing I've done on this is I've put these items into ChatGPT and said, tell me about a day in a life, or tell me the types of things that this person is worried about. ChatGPT actually does a pretty good job with it, and I can craft a marketing message around that. And we've done a couple shows on marketing, but that's the whole idea. Oh, man. Oh, what a great show on pricing, on great parenting, on getting over your fears and self-worth, and on overpaying for hotel rooms. Have a great week, everybody. I believe in you.